went to Tokyo Disney. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah. Stayed at Tokyo Disney for 2 nights, and we did 3 days. One day we did Tokyo Disneyland, and 2 days at the exclusive Tokyo Disney Sea.
Disneyland was the first day, and there were a lot of similarities to Disney World in Orlando. The castle was nice and big. It was beautiful.
But it was white instead of like pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, Main Street was a lot different. This one was kind of spread out, and it was covered with some kind of rain covering, I assume. We saw the castle, everything was... It was a lot of open space. It was like not very packed.
Yeah, it was easy to get in. We took the monorail from our hotel. The Miracosta is where we stayed, which was closer to Disney Sea. Interestingly, you had to purchase monorail tickets to get there. So
which will be relevant later.
It's true.
We rode Pirates of the Caribbean first. It was a 5-minute wait. Some of the rides that usually have a wait in the United States have no wait, and vice versa as well.
Yeah, we did pretty much all of the rides. And there was a lot that were similar to what's in Disney World, but there were unique ones to this park. We had fast pass tickets to the Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast, which was so cool. Neither of us really knew what that was going to be, but it was beautiful. It was such a cool ride. They do this a couple of times for Tokyo Disney rides. Before you get onto the ride, you enter into a room, and then they have some sort of display to like set the tone and kind of retell you what the story is of what you're about to experience.
But this story was told by like an animatronic Belle and an animatronic Beast came out into the main hall of the castle and acted out part of the story.
Happy Baymax ride.
The Happy Baymax ride. One of the weirdest rides. It's like a fun little ride. You sit in this thing and it spins you around a little bit. There are people that stand outside the line just dancing all day, never riding the ride. They just stand there and they dance, not riding, but just dancing.
There was an old man there the entire time we waited in line, doing all of the little dances for each song, which was really cute. There was a Monsters, Inc. hide-and-go-seek ride. You had a little flashlight, and you were trying to find all of the monsters that were hiding in the dark, which was cute. And the entrance for that was awesome. It was like you were walking into Monsters, Inc., basically, and you were in the lobby.
We did a Lilo and Stitch show where essentially like it's like a person that's voice acting Stitch, and then he makes fun of or says stuff to people in the audience, and we were just sitting there like hoping he wouldn't say anything to us, because obviously everything he was saying was 1, in Stitch voice, 2, in Japanese. So
Stitch Japanese is something else.
So we couldn't understand him.
There was a Winnie the Pooh ride.
Winnie the Pooh ride was good. It's like stepping into the book of the 100 Acre Woods.
It was a honey hunt.
Yeah.
So we went with Pooh and Tigger and friends along their way to find honey. And at the end of the ride, they even like pumped honey smell into the room where Pooh found the honey.
The Jungle Cruise was way more hype. It was a call and response. People were excited. We also did it at night.
It was cool at night. They like set up additional like fireflies and stuff, and they had more lights to set the mood. It was really cool. There was also the electrical parade in Disneyland, which I was stoked about because I've seen that before, and I know the music to it, so it was really cute, and all of the floats were super light up, and it was awesome.
At the end of the day, we went back to our hotel. We finally checked in. Our luggage was already in the room, and it was really cool. It's the Hotel Miracosta. It's in Tokyo Disney Sea, so we were prepared for the next day.
Yeah.
And they had little robes in there.
Full-on pajama sets.
We were really exhausted, and so we kind of just, passed out.
Yeah.
When we got in there. Then on to day 2.
Day 2 was first day at Tokyo Disney Sea. So we were able to have a nice little buffet breakfast at the hotel before we went to the park. We got what they call happy entry passes. So that meant that we were able to get into the park 30 minutes before regular ticket holders, I guess. It opened at 9, and we were able to get in at 8:30.
When we got in there was no one in there for 30 minutes. It was totally empty. Outside of Tokyo Disney Sea, there's this giant globe that's rotating around, being held up by
Like
a
a
giant
water feature.
water fountain. And, part of Tokyo Disney Sea is a location called Fantasy Springs, and Fantasy Springs is pretty exclusive. We got lucky enough to get entry and also fast pass on all the rides, which we didn't know until the day of.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
We walked straight to Fantasy Springs. We tried to saunter so we could take in the views. We walked through the Tuscany district. We passed through a volcano. So there's a
That was so
volcano
neat.
that's kind of the center of the park. And so you walk through the volcano, and then we get through this kind of Middle Eastern Agrabah side of the park.
Yeah.
And then
we
from
get to
kind of the
tomorrow,
distance, you can see King Triton's castle. We don't go to it yet. We're excited to. It looks cool, but we're trying to get to
Fantasy Springs.
Fantasy Springs before it gets flooded with people. And we make it into the Fantasy Springs Park. No one in there.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Totally
So
empty.
And the
So
camera actually looks
we
like
get there. We see it's amazing. Even the entrance of it is
It was beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, it's a rock carvings of Peter Pan and Anna and Elsa and Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And then once you're in there, you see kind of an ice mountain maybe. There's a bunch of trees. You see Neverland on your left, a pirate ship on your right.
We had read that out of the 4 rides that are back there, there's one, Tinkerbell's Adventure, would not take fast passes. So we were like, okay, well, we better do that first before the lines get super crazy, before people keep coming into the park. But instead of that, we were like, oh, Peter Pan's right here. Let's just take the 5 minutes and just hop on really quick.
So we step in the line, and there's no line. We just walk
Right.
through the queue. It's so empty that there's a portion of the line that's really cool, and Anne stopped to take a picture, and the people were like, no, keep going. Keep moving.
It's like you were one of the lost boys up in the treehouse.
And it said you can do that later.
Yeah.
And they kept waving us through the line. So we kept making it through the line. We made it in. You sit in this little pirate ship, and man,
I know it was the first thing that we did in the morning, but it was probably the biggest surprise of Disney. for me.
yeah, it was like one of my favorite rides that I've ever ridden. And so we got out and we were blown away, jaws
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah.
We were so excited for the rest of the rides. We were like, is this the standard? And so then we were like, oh, we got to rush over to Tinkerbell's ride, because Tinkerbell's ride, we don't even get to use the fast pass. It must be packed all the time. It must be wild. We were excited, and it's not a bad ride.
It's a very short little buggy ride through her garden.
It
was
is
super, super cute because you're a tiny pixie size. So everything you're seeing is built out of real size paintbrushes and crayons and cards and things like that. So it was super cute, but we got on it, and after we got off it, we were like, oh.
It was underwhelming
Yeah.
after Peter Pan. We had very high expectations
Right,
after Peter
right.
Pan.
But it was
So,
super cute.
Frozen next. The
Yeah.
Frozen ride is
It was like the story of Frozen. So you're taken on a little water boat into different rooms and sections, and you go forward and backwards, and you just kind of follow along with the story. But the music in there, the animatronics were really great.
we left this area and we went straight to the Tangled ride, and so the Tangled World is over here on the side. They have the Snuggly Duckling Cafe. They have the tower where Rapunzel's in, and we get in there, and it's very similar to the Frozen ride, but just way shorter.
Water boat structure.
The animatronics are cool. The tower is really cool. That part's outside, so you take your boat outside at first, and then you go inside. And those are the 4 rides in Fantasy Springs, but it was so beautiful that we just stayed in Fantasy Springs and walked around. We got lunch there at the
Lookout Cookout.
a Lookout Cookout,
Yeah.
and which is the Peter Pan themed restaurant, the Lost Boys themed restaurant. Walked around, saw a bunch of different stone carving statues that were really cool. There's a really cool Mickey one. There's a cool Pocahontas one. There's
Ariel.
an Ariel one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool stone carvings, and then also the Fantasy Springs Hotel. And then we rode all the rides again because we had the fast pass, and we were like, why not?
Yeah, that was the only day that we would have been able to go into Fantasy Springs. Even though we had 2 tickets for Disney Sea, only one day was for Fantasy Springs. So we wanted to take advantage.
We were hesitant to leave because we looked at the entrance back into the park, and it was such a long line. It was
to Fantasy Springs.
packed to get in. It was wall to wall, super long line. And so we're like, if we leave, we're probably not coming back. Let's just let's wait a bit. And we rode a ride, and then we got back, and Peter Pan was working, so we rode it again. Angela got a little motion sick, and then we were like, all right, we can leave.
Yeah. Enough of that.
And so then we left, and we went to explore Disney Sea a bit. And
we did do the back of the park, which was the Yucatan area. So there was a Raging Spirits ride, which was a roller coaster with a loop in it that was like over an ancient burial ground. Indiana Jones ride was back there. They had a whole little shopping strip.
we went in on the Indiana Jones ride first, right?
Yes.
We had
a
fast
pass for that. So
Yeah.
great way to skip the line, because that line was like 90 minutes and
Yeah.
we basically walked on.
It was like a Humvee ride that like jerks, and then where we were gonna go to the Raging Spirits ride, but it was just like a 90-minute line.
It was also outside and incredibly hot.
It was-
Still, it's like 100 degrees.
We went back to the hotel, which was in the park, and just rested, cooled
Yeah.
off for a bit, and then came back to the park at like 4 o'clock. Then we walked to probably the best part of the park, Cape Cod, the Cape Cod themed portion of the park. It was packed. Just kidding. It was the only place that was not packed in the park.
Right. Why would they choose Cape Cod to represent, like, America?
Right. There was like an American flag waving up there. There was a big steamship. A lot of cool stuff. But
They had a New York section as well, like over by Toy Story Mania, and they had the Tower of Terror. Then it was Cape Cod.
yeah, and they have like what feels like, maybe if you're watching this and you're like a Disney person, you can let us know. But there's like a character here named Duffy the Disney Bear. He's the mascot of the Cape Cod area, and everyone had like merch for him.
Yeah, just like a cute little stuffed teddy bear, and all of his friends were either bears or like little bunnies, but they looked like typical teddy bears.
But then we did the center area we went to the volcano. We did the journey to the center of the earth because we had a fast pass to that, and that was also like a 90-minute line. Honestly, Tokyo Disney Sea, like all the lines,
Very, very long.
super long. No line in Tokyo Disneyland. Tons of line in Tokyo Disney Sea.
Yeah.
And so we did the journey to the center of the earth. So you go into the volcano, and then the 20,000 leagues under the sea, where you go 20,000 leagues under the sea. So it was getting dark. On our phone, we ordered food to pick up in Fantasy Springs, and then we took a little steamboat from one side of the park to the other side of the park after dark. And
We also had a beer and had our first popcorn sampling that day. Tokyo Disney and Disney Sea have a ton of different popcorn flavors. We saw roast beef flavor, curry flavor, caramel, chocolate. The one that we tried
butter and salt.
The one that we tried was soy sauce and butter, which was pretty good. It was tasty.
Pretty good. We made our way to Fantasy Springs for dinner because we couldn't go there the next day. So we wanted to see what it was like at night. We made it in. We picked up our food at the Snuggly Duckling, and then we saw it, and it was beautiful, and we rode the rides again. We didn't do Peter Pan because Angela's going to get sick. We did the Frozen ride and the Tangled ride. Tangled ride was cool because you got to see the tower at
Lit
night,
up.
and she sings in the tower, and it's,
Yeah,
that
that
whole
was cool.
thing. Then we headed home, went to sleep,
Went to sleep.
prepared for day 3.
Day 3 started virtually the same. Had a nice breakfast. Used the Happy Entry Pass again to get into the park early. And then, for some crazy reason, the Soarin' ride was one of the most popular and longest wait times. We had been monitoring it the day before. It was like upwards of 90 minutes consistently.
120 minutes, 2
throughout
hours.
The full day. So we were like, okay, let's do Soarin' first. We waited in line for that, and it took us maybe 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
And it was still one of the longest waits we had to do.
People, like, ran to get in line for Soarin'.
It's crazy.
We walked back towards the Yucatan area, and we got in line for the Raging Spirits ride, the one that has a loop-de-loop.
Which, like, the big thing was it was a loop-de-loop, but, like...
The ride wasn't that special.
That was the whole ride.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, like, as themed. Like, it was definitely themed with the area. It had a giant statue on fire and stuff. For Disney, that's not a lot. Definitely not worth the hour and a half wait like it was normally.
And we decided, like, it wasn't fun enough to be repeatable.
So at that point, we headed to Triton's Castle before. We never went in the day before. So we were like, let's go over and let's go see some rides. You can see some rides on the outside. You can go into it. And we did not expect that. Yeah. It's like it's a whole new...
Underneath the castle was like a massive underground area.
Under the sea.
We could see there was like a little scuttle scooter ride and then another flounder-type fish roller coaster outside. So we were like, oh, those are cute. Let's go check those out.
Right.
But little did we know.
No, it's a whole land under there. There's multiple rides under the castle. There's a whole restaurant under the castle. And, man...
That was one of the most immersive and, like, shocking, in a cool way, experiences that Disney Sea gave me, I think.
Also, air-conditioned. So...
Yeah, huge bonus.
Yeah. We waited in line to ride what was essentially, like, teacups, except you don't spin like this, but you can control the momentum if you, like, rock your body. And you spin a little bit just as your momentum gets pushed around the track, but I realized... about halfway through that I could control the spin if I, like, move. And so I started doing that. But then I realized because there was no handle to control the spin, I had no ability to stop our spin. And we're really going. We're going so fast. And the ride stops.
And we keep
spinning.
Just
keep spinning. And everyone's getting out of their seats and walking out. And we're just still spinning. And this woman's like, you can go. And we're like, how? How do we stop this?
She's like, come out the door.
And she has to physically, like, try multiple times to slow us down and stop us. And then we, while other people are already coming onto the ride, are fumbling off of this ride.
That was called the Whirlpool. It was like little seaweed cups, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it again. I would do the ride again. I wouldn't do the spinning
again. Yeah.
But, so then we decided to leave and come back later. In the afternoon.
Because we did have some fast passes for the Western Front. Got on to Toy Story Mania, which, again, super fun. That ride is great.
Competition ride, you shoot a little target.
He didn't get murdered as bad as he did on the Buzz Lightyear ride in Disneyland.
On the Buzz Lightyear ride, my thing was broken.
Okay, that's what they all say.
It was just very clearly broken.
That's what they...
I got like 49,000 points on that, and I got like 5,000 points. Anyway, she lost on the Toy Story Mania ride. And then we did Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror was super cool. So the outside, the shape of the tower looks the same as it does in Hollywood Studios, except it's brick instead of like pink stucco. And when we got into the queue, we had another fast pass for that. And I was telling Terrence, I wondered if it was going to be the same story like Hollywood 1939. As they completely changed the story, which made sense. And it was more focused on this explorer who goes around to different locations and brings back artifacts and different findings. And he brings back a tiki head, and it turns out that this tiki is cursed. It's like a demon, evil little tiki head that comes to life and has an evil spirit. Miraculously makes this explorer disappear as he drops out of the elevator.
And we have to go in a hotel. For some reason as well. We didn't get all the story, okay? It was in Japanese.
The ride was just as fun. The same mechanics up and down, just with a cursed tiki instead. We did another mobile order for lunch, and we stood in line for a Nemo and Friends ride. There's like 20 or 30 people, everyone sitting in a
huge theater.
Yeah, it was a pretty big theater. The concept is like you get shrunk down to the size of a fish and you go on a little exploration with Nemo and all of his friends. It was super cute, and they had like immersive water sprays and air blowing at you to make you really feel like you were in the current and things like that.
Then we did a mobile order to pick up in the under the sea place. So we went back to Triton's Tower. We ate this star-shaped pizza.
Sausage and meat sauce pizza.
Sausage and meat sauce pizza.
And then we did some more rides in there. There was a jumping jellyfish ride where you sit in a jellyfish and you just go up and down.
And then we did a swings-like blowfish balloon ride.
They had a whole Ariel's Playground section. You got to go into the boat that's at the beginning of the movie, like the shipwreck. You got to go into her treasure trove and see the statue of Eric and all of the other knickknacks. That was really beautiful. And they also had shell ice cream. They're called Monicas, which is basically like a really thin layer of waffle cone basically surrounding your ice cream. So we got a sea salt flavored Monica in the shape of a shell, which was super tasty.
It was pretty good. And then after we finished Teen Triton's Lagoon, we left and went
to ride the smaller Flounder roller coaster ride, which geared towards children. So these seats were small.
We get in this tiny little buggy. And my knees are like
first
in
row.
my chest. We're first row.
It was really fun though.
I can see children in line laughing at me as we go through this. We also got the white chocolate matcha popcorn. We had one remaining fast pass. We used it on Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I mean, we went back to explore the western waterfront where they had a cruise ship. So we went on to the cruise ship. From there, we did like our last minute shopping towards the beginning of the park. We just popped into a couple of shops.
And we wanted to get out a little bit early because we had already checked out of the hotel and we had to make it back to a different hotel in Tokyo and we didn't know really how to get there. We got all our stuff from the lobby of our hotel. We were headed out and you have to take the Disney monorail to a train station and then take from that metro station to our hotel. That was the plan. Not a problem. It shouldn't have been a problem. I'm maybe 10 feet from the entrance of the Mickey monorail. We stopped at a vending machine for some water for 200 yen or something like that. So then we go over to get to the Mickey monorail and buy our pass to get on it. Like we said, it costs money. And we were 200 yen short.
And these machines only take cash. And the only ATMs were back in Tokyo Disney Sea.
So we couldn't afford to get on the monorail, but we apparently could afford to pay 10,000 yen to take a taxi. So that one water bottle ended up costing us like $70.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But we had a lot of bags, so it was like, I wouldn't say blessing in disguise, but it was...
Kind of.
It was
and I guess
more
the other,
convenient.
The other upside too, was seeing Tokyo, driving through Tokyo at night, which we never would have done otherwise. Sure, it was a blessing. It's an expensive blessing.
Right. And that's how we ended our Tokyo Disney stay. And that's the end of this vlog. Then we spent a few more days in Tokyo. We'll tell you a bit about that later. Peace.